Yo, what it do, everyone? I'm your host, Will. Welcome to the channel. This is Phantom Frequency, where it's exactly what it sounds like. We get into all the different worlds of fandom, anime, comic books, movies, music, doesn't matter. We talk about it here on the channel. Just depends what's popping off in the news and what we feel like talking about and what we're passionate about the most. If that's your vibe, if you dig what we're doing here on the channel, make sure you jump below the video and get in the comments and likes and all that stuff. It really does help the channel out, and we're just trying to grow this, get this cool community going, and just see how far we can take the channel. It's a fun project that we love working on. I love working on. So just appreciate each and every one of you for checking this out. But we got you with a new episode to begin the week. So you might even get 2 episodes this week, depending on how the news cycle goes. I wasn't able to get this out over the weekend like I planned, but it's What's the Word, episode 11, y'all. This is where we talk about all the pop culture news and the topics that dropped over the week. And as you see, that big old Marvel 2025 lineup we will be discussing as the main topic at the end of the show. I repeat, do not jump into the comments and complain. We are talking about the Marvel topic at the end of the show. We're going to get into the other topics first because there's a lot more to talk about with Marvel. So we're going to save the best for last. All right. So just throwing that out there as a disclaimer for this one. We're getting into Marvel at the end of the video. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this first one right here. And that first news story is going to be related to lanterns. And we got 2 new casting choices here. We got Kelly McDonald there. She is going to be cast as a sheriff type character. That's a no nonsense type of lady that's investigating some kind of a weird conspiracy going on in the small town with these murders popping up. And I'm assuming that she's going to be running into our boys Hal Jordan and John Stewart while they're trying to investigate what's going on, and things of that nature. And that's probably why John Stewart becomes a Green Lantern, because one gets killed that's on Earth, probably not Hal Jordan, of course, and then that ends up getting him the ring, because of the way that it works. Once a Green Lantern dies, for those that aren't aware of the lore, then the ring goes and finds another suitable host that can handle the willpower of the ring, and it goes to that person, and they become the next Green Lantern. So I would assume that's kind of the inciting incident that's going to kick off and get John Stewart mixed into it. That's at least that's just a theory. I have no like proof or anything. It just seems like that would be the logical direction to go. And then you also got this actor right here, Garrett Dillahunt, over on the left of your screen, who's also cast in a villainous role, but there's no specified description that I saw for the villainous role or what it specifically is. So it will be very interesting to see what villain they're going to use in this. I've seen like the Black Lanterns, the Gray Lanterns, and things like that. I've seen people speculate on different characters of that nature. And there's another set of characters that somebody speculated on one of the shows that I watch from time. I watch fairly often. I watch really often. The Christian Harloff show. Somebody on that live stream was talking about a potential Green Lantern villain that was going around targeting Green Lanterns and stuff. Maybe I already said the name, but I could have swore it was a different group, subset of characters in DC Comics. And if I am mistaken and I already said it was one of the Black Lanterns or something like that, let me know. It's been a while since I read the Darkest Night storyline, so gonna have to revisit that. But those are the 2 casting choices we got for Lanterns, and we recently just got Hal Jordan and John Stewart confirmed as of recently. We know the writing and directing team behind this thing, which is like Damon Lindelof from Watchmen and Lost and things like that. Excuse me. And you got a lot of different creatives from various shows like Ozark and things like that. So some of the top tier television that's came out in the last 10 to 15 years, a lot of those people and a lot of those creators are going to be working on this series along with James Gunn and Peter Safran, developing the story for the overall, shared universe and whatnot. So the DCU is shaping up to look really cool with their first live action TV series being that of Lanterns. Always wanted to see the Green Lanterns explored in a way where you do get 2 Green Lanterns like a John Stewart and a Hal Jordan going on an adventure, doing something. Hopefully there's a little bit of cosmic mixed in with the Earth-based storyline going on with the True Detective vibe that they're going for. But I'm very excited about it. I'm not super duper familiar with these 2 actors. I've seen them both and stuff before, but it's going to be very interesting to see them play in this sandbox with Aaron Pierre as John Stewart and with Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan, because they're definitely going to be coming into contact with both of those characters, maybe one more than the other, especially with Garrett Dillahunt there being the villain. He's going to come in contact with both of these guys and possibly be the one doing these killings. So very interesting stuff. Y'all let me know what you think about the Green Lantern news down below, and if you're excited for the new show Lanterns and whatnot. I know I am. But getting into our next topic here, we got some more casting information. We got Michael Cera and Amelia Jones added to the cast for Edgar Wright's Running Man. which is coming out next year. It's the Stephen King story and the movie back in like 1989 or something of that nature, 86, with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the starring role. Now we're going to have Glenn Powell taking that over. You got Katie O'Brien, who's also in the cast. And now we got two of these new additions to the cast. Now, anyone that's around my age, I'm getting ready, I'm 29. Y'all know Michael Cera from Juno and Superbad. You know what I'm saying? He's done a lot of other cool shit over the years too. Don't forget he was Scott Pilgrim. And he's done some other good things, and I absolutely loved his role in This Is the End. Hilarious, from like 2013. We definitely got to talk about that movie on this channel. Hilarious. But yeah, so getting to see Michael Cera added to the casting list to work with Edgar Wright once again since Scott Pilgrim. It'll be literally 15 years by the time that happens. So that's going to be really cool to see Michael Cera and Edgar Wright reunite, even though he won't be the starring character this time. And Emilia Jones, for those that maybe aren't familiar, even though I didn't see the movie, but it does sound like a really cool premise. She was the leading star of the, I think it was an Oscar-nominated and potentially winning movie called Coda, about this deaf family and how she's passionate about music and performing, and they're deaf, obviously, her parents. So, and maybe other members of her family, I'm not sure. So they don't really understand her passion for it because they just don't um, relate to music in the same way, right? So obviously, so that to me was a very interesting storyline for a movie. I haven't really seen it yet, but I definitely think I got to check it out because I would love to see and get a little bit of a vibe of her as a performer. Because Edgar Wright's one of my favorite directors, and he always gets good performances out of all of his actors. So I don't doubt he'll do the same thing here. It's going to be very intriguing to see Edgar Wright taking on a Stephen King property or story, because I've all the stuff that he's done within the horror genre is generally he did Last Night in Soho, which was a lot more of a supernatural kind of thriller. I would say more than like a straight up horror movie, but I still counted it in the horror genre because horror thriller obviously goes together for that reason. But it wasn't necessarily like a Stephen King type thing. This isn't like straight up horror per se either. So maybe it definitely is going to play a lot better. And then obviously he did Shaun of the Dead, and then he did Hot Fuzz, which had a little bit of a slasher vibe mixed in there, with obviously Shaun of the Dead being a homage to Dawn of the Dead and being a zombie film. So getting to see him play with the horror genre again in some capacity, or at least making a really cool thriller, I think sounds hella cool. And getting to see him work with Glenn Powell, I think is very interesting as well. He seems to be on the rise and just getting bigger and better things left and right. So I'll be very curious to see where this is going to go. I got to revisit that Schwarzenegger version from the 80s and see what it's about. Like, I know the storyline, but I want to like get a sense for the entire plot and how it all goes together. And I want to kind of see how that can translate into this new movie, and then go and do the research about the book or the short story it comes from and see how it all kind of compares together. But I'm definitely excited for it. I love Edgar Wright. He's literally in my top 10 to 15 directors, maybe all time, or at least in my top 10 working today. So I cannot wait to see what's going to happen with that. But y'all let me know if you're excited to see The Running Man from Edgar Wright next year, and what you think about these two actors and these actor and actresses, whatever, joining the cast. And now we're jumping into 28 years later, y'all. It's been almost goddamn 28 years, it feels like, but we're finally getting a follow-up to the sequel 28 weeks later. Was it 28 weeks? Yeah. And then everyone was kind of speculating it was going to be 28 months later by the time they did a sequel. But now, since it's been about 10 to 15 years since the sequel, and it definitely has been about 20 years, I think, since the original film. Yeah, it's been literally 22 years. So it's been a minute. Almost, that's crazy. It's literally almost been 28 years. Danny Boyle is coming back to direct this thing, but we got some interesting information that was kind of put out there from Ray Fiennes, I think is how you say his name. He's going to be one of the leading characters in here, and he gave us some hints on, or gave the person interviewing him some hints about the potential storyline. And it goes, let me see, let me get the quote here. Set 28 years after the rage virus return put Britain into zombified. Here we go. So a young boy wants to find a doctor to help his dying mother. Instead of going out on his own, the unnamed boy takes his mother through this beautiful northern English terrain, where they eventually meet a doctor who is a force for good. So I would probably assume that's him, because he does play villains a lot, but I would assume that's probably going to be him since he's talking about it. But who the hell knows? Maybe it's somebody else. I don't know. But that's all very interesting to see how kind of like how they're jumping off from the other movie and what characters they're going to be focusing on in this go around. Because as you know, the main character of the last movie didn't survive, so there's no way they can go into that. And then Killian Murphy, we ain't seen him in forever, and I can't quite remember if he dies or lives. To be honest with you guys, it's been literally 10 to 15 years since I watched that movie, so I definitely need to revisit 28 days later. I really do. But and I remember not liking Weeks nearly as much as the first one, but I need to go back and check it out because the first one goes for a little more of a found footage kind of grimy feel, and then the second one's a lot more of like a clean, kind of more polished version of just like a straight zombie horror movie. But the opening sequence to that is insane. So I definitely got to go back and revisit these two movies. But I remember being fans of them. They're definitely one of the cooler horror franchises to come out because it's not been oversaturated with really dumb sequels. So them being able to kind of pick up years later, kind of go off a new storyline with some new characters and bring the same kind of tension, bring the same tragic nature of it, bring the same acting and directing and writing caliber from the previous two films with Danny Boyle being in the mix and Nia DaCosta potentially directing a follow-up to this one that's already in the works, depending on how the success goes, obviously, as we all know in the world of entertainment. But yeah, so I think it's definitely interesting, and getting to see Ray Fiennes play a hero as opposed to a villain, I think could be really cool as well, and get him out of that typecast and subvert some expectations in a really cool way. So I'm definitely intrigued to see how it's going to turn out. I think Killian Murphy is supposed to be coming back. I don't know if that's 100% confirmed or not, but I heard that was the rumor. So I'm excited for it. 2025 definitely seems like it's going to be a really cool year for horror, just like this year has been. And there's some horror movies I still got to catch up on, like Cuckoo and Late Night with the Devil and whatnot. But what I've seen this year has been a really kick-ass year for horror. So I think we're definitely in a bit of a renaissance once again from like the mid 2010s to now. It's definitely a great time to be a horror fan. So y'all let me know what your hype level is for 28 years later. And here we go with some more fun news, man. The Wayans are back. The Wayan brothers are back and have the rights and are doing a reboot slash follow up slash requel to Scary Movie. For those of you that weren't around in 2000 and 2002, if I'm remembering correctly, when they did the first two Scary Movies with the Wayans brothers intimately involved, it was freaking hilarious. They were spoofing all the teen slashers of the 90s and the teen comedies of the time. It was great. Even some of the hood movie stuff, man, they were doing such a great job spoofing all this stuff with some great actors and actresses, discovering and kind of getting Anna Faris out there, the great and beautiful, talented Regina Hall as well, and getting some other fun cameos from some other actors as well, getting Leslie Nielsen into the franchise in the third movie. I don't think the Wayans were directly involved with that one. They had kind of washed their hands of it. We're working on other things like White Chicks and Little Man and their own comedies and their own brand of humor. After the Weinsteins and all of them kind of strong arm the franchise from them, it's great to see them come back, and it's really poetic to see them come back to a franchise they started, to one of their funniest things they've ever done as a creative team and as a duo and as brothers. It's really going to be fun to see them come back. We've had literally 3 or 4 Scream movies since Scary Movie was making fun of it in the first one or two, really. So you really could say 5, if because they were really just going off the original film, maybe, or the second one too. So they were going off the first two. So we've had 4 Scream movies since Scary Movie was making fun of it. So there's a lot of stuff they can mine with that. That's why I think the funny Ghostface is in this picture, because he'll be back, and I think they're going to definitely play off of that. Hey, what are you doing? Chilling. Killing. We got to get that guy back, man. I want him busting a rap, killing awesome fools. You know what I'm saying? I want it. I want to see it. I want Smokey back. I want it all, man. So I'm definitely hyped to see another Scary Movie. I did like Scary Movie 3, don't get me wrong, but after that, it completely just flew off a cliff. But 3 was already a step down from the first two. And I sometimes can't even decide which one I like better, the first or the second, with the second going into the haunted house kind of vibes and things of that nature. And some of those Japanese, all those like American Japanese horror remakes and stuff that we were doing with The Ring and The Grudge and all that stuff at the time. So I would really love to see where they can go. Putting in the elevated horror could be a lot of fun. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they can get in Art the Clown in some fashion or form in here. There's a lot of really cool stuff they can make fun of in the horror genre right now, and in um, franchise and big budget movies and stuff right now. And the way that there is a lack of comedy, I think that's another reason why I'm so excited for this, because we are sorely lacking in comedy these days, in the sense of we need more of them. We need all of them, and we need a bunch of them fast, quick, and in a hurry. And we need them to be funny. We need them to be edgy. We need them to push the boundaries, man. I'm not saying just be offensive for offensive sake, but be funny, be witty, be clever, and push the envelope and stop being so goddamn, sensitive about every goddamn thing. When it comes to comedy movies, stand-up comedy, whole different ball game, whole different thing. I still think they should have the room to do what they want to do, but they're telling jokes and it's a direct thing. Movies have characters, stories. It's a movie. It's a comedy. We need that back out there because stand-up comedy is just as big as I feel like there's still a lot of that going on. We are sorely lacking comedies in the theaters these days. So we need this more than ever. I'm happy to see the Wayans brothers are back. Y'all let me know if you're hyped to see it and if you grew up on the original two scary movies like I did. Cause hell yeah, man. And hey, what's up with the Wayans brothers show? Bring that shit back too, man. Come on. Every other freaking sitcom got a revival. Let's get on it. Let's get on it. But now it's time to talk about the big news that dropped over the last week when they did their big Marvel 2025 preview, mostly for TV, but obviously they got their 3 films coming out next year between Captain America, The Brave New World on Valentine's Day, if I remember right. And then you got May 2nd or 3rd or something of that nature. You got Thunderbolts coming out. And then July 25th of 2025, you got The Fantastic Four, The First Steps, whatever. Coming out as well. But now we have 6 new projects they just announced, as you can see on the timeline on the screen right there. Starting off in January, we get the premiere of the animated series, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which I think is supposed to tie into the MCU in some fashion or form. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me yet, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. And you got 2 more animated shows coming out along with 3 live action shows. The other 2 animated shows are going to be Marvel Zombies and Eyes of Wakanda, which is going to be following that show is going to be focused on Wakandan um, warriors and leaders and people like that throughout different times and different things like that, going after some kind of common goal. Might be some time travel shenanigans going on. Not 100% sure on that. And then we also got Marvel Zombies, pretty self-explanatory. That was all kind of set up in What If Season 2 and whatnot. So that's going to be really fun to see. And we got 3 live action shows coming out. 2 of these were heavily rumored, been talked about, been in the works for a minute, been kind of sitting on the shelf. The other one is pretty much everybody's most anticipated thing, almost bar none, from Marvel for next year. And that's Daredevil Born Again coming out on March 20. Hold on. I got it on my phone here on my calendar. It's coming out. Where was it? I thought I put it in my calendar. God damn it, I didn't. It's coming out sometime in March. Daredevil Born Again. It's going to be premiering on Disney Plus, of course. TVMA, full R-rated goodness. Muse. They just dropped a quick little teaser with the whole Marvel announcement. So you got to see some footage of Muse, a little bit of what looks like to be Bullseye, which looks like they just inverted a black costume of Daredevil and kind of went off of that, which I think is brilliant stuff. I hope they got the whole Bullseye on the head, on the helmet and everything. Really excited for all that. It's definitely seeming like a Daredevil season 4, picking right up where the Netflix show left off, getting to tie up those loose threads, getting to see the Punisher back with John Bernthal as Frank Castle is going to be fucking awesome. I cannot wait for this show next year. I think this is my most anticipated Marvel project, bar none, out of all this stuff for next year, and almost period for the next couple years. If it wasn't for the Avengers movies and the Mutant Saga stuff in the horizon, this would be far and away my most anticipated thing. I don't care what the hell's coming out, even over Fantastic Four, which would probably be which is still my number 2 most anticipated project because I really love the cast and what they're trying to do with it. So I'm really excited for that. Obviously, we've been let down plenty of times before with Fantastic Four, but I still got faith in it. I'm still very excited about it. Daredevil Born Again, I don't doubt in the slightest. I think they went back to what works, got the same creative energy and flow going. I think it's going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait for Daredevil Born Again. But the 2 interesting shows that are coming out next year in live action as well, which I definitely was not highly anticipating, but I'm more interested in them now after seeing some of the footage and getting the premise a lot more so for one over the other. And that's the footage of Ironheart now definitely has me a little bit interested in the show. And then the actual information they gave us through the teaser of Wonder Man, him being a guy that's an actor playing a superhero in the world of the MCU where real superheroes exist, is super duper fascinating and definitely feels like something straight out of The Boys. But the difference with that is I don't know if Marvel's going to be able to go as hard edge and really get at all the stuff that The Boys gets at. But having something different, a little more meta, a little bit more fresh and creative in the world of the MCU, especially in the world of Phase 6 right now, when things are not necessarily at their height, but not necessarily in the depths, in the dumps either. We're a little bit up and down and in a weird kind of limbo period after the big high that came from Deadpool and Wolverine. 2025 is shaping up to be a huge year for the MCU, and I'm super hyped about pretty much all these projects for the most part. The only thing that doesn't have me super duper excited right now is Ironheart and your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm not 100. I love Spider-Man to death. He's literally one of my favorite fictional characters of all time, next to Batman and people like that, or characters like that. But overall, I just don't know exactly how this is going to tie in, what the storyline quite is yet. But I love the animation style. Very Spider-Verse, but definitely unique and different on its own terms as well. So I'm definitely digging that. And then Ironheart, we just don't know much about the plot right now. So I'm not like super duper excited about it. I didn't love the character in the movie, but I thought the actress and Riri Williams was at least a solid character. And I like the way that they redesigned the suit. It looks really cool. So getting to see how the effects and everything come together. You got Alden Ehrenreich in here, Anthony Ramos, who are both really good actors in my mind, and definitely haven't gotten their big like break or big role quite yet, in a sense. I really can't wait to see what they're gonna do in the Marvel universe. And Yahya Abdul-Mateen playing Wonder Man in this case and being a part of the MCU is really fun. I'm not a big fan of the character Trevor Slattery or anything, but I don't hate the character or anything like that. Just a goofball, just something to get a few laughs from. So getting to see him be Yahya Abdul-Mateen's agent and all that shit, I think that's going to be really fun and entertaining to watch. So it's going to be a huge year for Marvel. I'm really excited about it. I hope they stick the landing, you know what I'm saying, on pretty much all this stuff. And I got faith in a good amount of these, but also some, trepidation and some, intrigue about some of the other ones. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen with all this stuff. Y'all let me know what's your least anticipated project on here and what's the thing you just cannot wait for the most. I think a lot of people, if they answer at all, it's going to be Daredevil Born Again for sure. But hey, who knows? Maybe you want to see Wonder Man more than anything. Maybe you care about Fantastic Four over everything. Maybe you don't care about any of that and you just want to see the Falcon become Captain America for real, in Captain America Brave New World. Who the hell knows? But y'all let me know what you thought about all the Marvel news down below. But that's going to do it for us on this episode of What's the Word. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking this out, y'all. We'll be doing this every single week. Might even be doing 2 of these from time to time, depending on how much news gets out there or when I'm able to get the show out to you guys. But this week, you're definitely going to be getting a second episode because I'm sure there's going to be some other trailers or things to talk about by the time we get into the weekend. You know what I'm saying? And all that good jazz. So thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. And we got a lot of cool and fun content on the channel about music, anime, TV shows, comic movies, all that shit. So make sure you click all through the channel, all the playlists and everything we got going on here. But until next time, make sure y'all stay safe out there and also stay tuned and don't sleep on the dopeness we have going on here on the channel. And until next time, much love and peace out, y'all.